Most dating advice out there tells men what to say, what to wear, or what text to send. And brother, none of that matters if your energy is wounded. So today I want to give you 5 dating tips from the healed masculine energy perspective. And the last one is really the linchpin to the whole thing. So stick around and maybe you'll learn something new. Now, these are not tricks, they're principles. They're a way that a grounded man shows up, and when you embody them, you stop chasing women and start attracting the right one. Because when you show up in dating from insecurity, fear, old wounds, women feel it instantly. And there's no pickup line, no outfit, no strategy that can cover that up. Hey man, I'm Kyle. I'm a certified master NLP practitioner and a certified master success coach for men who are tired of performing and ready to start leading their life from grounded masculinity. And just for you watching this, I have put free resources in the description below for you to get for yourself and to start making the change, as well as the opportunity to work with me. And when would now be a good time to do that? Also, leave me a comment too. Let me know if you found this information helpful, and let's get a conversation started. So, I've had a few of my younger one-on-one clients ask me recently for advice on dating or, how to develop a relationship deeper than friends with someone that, that they have known. And, while I normally don't focus on topics like that, I support my clients in any way that they need my support. So that's what's brought this video topic up, and let's discuss it, right? Let's get more of an understanding on simple and effective tips that you can use that actually work. All right, so tip number one, lead with presence, not performance. So most men show up on dates like they're performing for an audience, right? They're running a script in their head the entire time. And, they're saying to themselves, am I saying this right? Does she like me? How can I impress her? Now, I get it. You're worried about making a good impression. They're cracking jokes to fill the silence. They're trying to talk about their job or their car or their achievements to prove that they're valuable. But here's the thing, brother, that energy screams insecurity. Women will feel it instantly. It's not attraction, it's pressure. And pressure kills connection. The healed masculine shows up differently. He shows up with presence. Presence mean that you're not in your head, you're just in the moment. You're listening when she speaks instead of rehearsing the next line. You make eye contact without flinching. You're not worried about whether your story sounds impressive. You're tuned into how the conversation feels. Presence communicates confidence. It says, I'm not here to prove to you who I am. I already know who I am. And that kind of grounded energy calms her nervous system. Think about it, right? When you're with someone who's like restless or fidgeting, they're trying too hard, it makes you feel uneasy. It's like you can feel their energy behind what they're saying. But when you're someone who's steady, who's not rushing to fill silence, you feel safe. That's what women feel around a man who leads with presence. And women live their whole life in two spaces. Am I safe or am I not safe? If you can lead from presence and show her she is safe with you, brother, that is better and more attractive than any performance you could ever put on. Because women don't remember the lines you used. They remember the way you made them feel. And nothing makes a woman feel more drawn to you than the steady presence of a man who is comfortable in his own skin. You provide that safety for her, and I promise you, she will be looking to you for the lead role in her life. All right, so tip number two, hold your boundaries with clarity. Wounded men will bend their standards. They, they'll bend their standards really the moment that they feel attraction, right? They'll ignore their own needs just to keep her interested. They'll agree to things they actually don't want because they're scared of being alone. That's why you see so many men tolerating red flag women. She disrespects him, and instead of him addressing it, he laughs it off. She says she wants, something casual when he knows he wants commitment. And, he just goes along with it anyways, hoping that she'll change her mind. That's not leadership, brother. That's fear. The healed masculine shows up differently, though. He shows up, knows his values and he doesn't apologize for them. He sets clear boundaries and he communicates them calmly, not with anger, not with, with force, but with certainty. For example, right? If he wants a committed relationship and he doesn't pretend he's fine with a casual relationship, just to keep her attention, right? He's clear about what he's looking for, and if he holds to it, if she crosses the line, he doesn't, swallow resentment until the poisons, the relationship. He speaks up directly without drama, and he lets his actions back up his words. Boundaries are not walls, they're invitations. They don't say stay away, they say this is how I live, and you are welcome to join me if you choose. That kind of clarity does not push women away. It actually earns their respect. Because women will test you, brother, unconsciously or consciously. They will press against your edges to see if you actually mean what you say. If you cave, she feels she can't trust you. But if you stand firm, not with arrogance, but with that grounded strength, she feels safe. And in her feeling safe with you, that safety creates attraction. Attraction creates respect. Respect creates love that actually lasts. It's a simple building block structure, right? That's the difference between the wounded man and the healed man. The wounded man fears that holding his boundaries will make her leave. The healed man knows that if holding his boundary makes her leave, she was never the right one to begin with. And brother, that's not a loss, that's a win. If she doesn't respect your boundaries in the beginning, she's not ever going to. And you're really setting yourself up for failure right from the start. So you have to think about it, right? Do you want to fight that battle daily for years just to end up single again? Make better decisions. Tip number 3, choose, don't chase. When you're wounded, you treat every woman's attention like it's a gift that you have to hold on to, right? You chase, you over pursue, you bend over backwards just to prove that you're worthy of being picked. You treat her like she's the prize. No, brother, you are the prize. Start acting like it. When you're in your wounded energy, you text too much. You rearrange your entire schedule for her. You ignore red flags because you're terrified of, missing your shot. Deep down, you're hoping that she'll look at you and finally decide that you're enough. Brother, that isn't attraction, that's desperation. And women can feel it, they can smell it. Like a shark can smell blood in the vast ocean. The healed masculine understands something different, though. He understands that if he is not that he is the chooser, right? Not out of arrogance, but out of alignment. He knows his vision, he knows his values. He knows what he, wants and what kind of woman will actually build with him and what kind of woman will distract him from his path. So he evaluates. He doesn't rush in just because, she's pretty. He asks, does she align with the man I'm becoming? Because looks fade, but her values that she holds matches up with yours, brother, you won. Chasing comes from scarcity. It's the belief that if I don't lock this down right now, I'm going to miss my chance. Choosing comes from abundance. It's the belief that I am a man of value and the right woman will recognize that. I don't need to beg. I don't need to cling. I don't need to settle. And here's the shift that changes everything for you, right? When you date from your wounds, you beg for a seat at the table. When you date from your identity, you realize that you get to pick who sits at your table. That means you don't have to prove yourself to be chosen. You live your standards, you embody your presence, and you let women show you whether they can rise to meet that or not. The wounded man chases to feel worthy, right? The healed man chooses from worth that he already owns. And brother, that's the difference between being chosen and you doing the choosing. All right, so tip 4, regulate, don't react. Wounded men are ruled by their emotions. If she doesn't text back fast enough, they panic and spiral into stories about being ignored. If she pulls away, they explode or they guilt trip her to pull her back in, right? This kind of reactivity doesn't create connection. It actually destroys it because it shows her that your sense of self is fragile and dependent on her every move. The healed masculine shows up differently, though. He regulates. He feels the emotion, the frustration, the fear, the anxiety, but he doesn't let it hijack him. He takes a breath. He grounds himself in his body. He remembers who he is before he responds. So, instead of firing off a desperate text, he waits until he's centered and then he speaks with clarity. Instead of exploding in anger, he expresses himself with calm strength. Regulation doesn't mean, suppressing emotions. It means leading them instead of being led by them. Now, here's why this matters so much, right? Women test men unconsciously. I've already said this. They will push against your boundaries, not because they want to break you, but because they want to feel if you're steady enough. It's their instinct, right? If you crumble under pressure, if you react like a boy, she knows that she can't trust you to hold the weight of her, with her life. But if you hold your ground, if you breathe, if you respond with strength instead of reactivity, brother, everything changes. That steadiness communicates I can handle myself, I can handle conflict, and I can handle us. That strength right there builds trust. And what's another word for trust? Safety, right? And brother, trust and safety builds attraction because a woman may be drawn to your looks, your charm, your words at first, but what makes her stay, what makes her open and soften into you and really respect you is knowing that you can stay grounded when everything else feels shaky. That's healed masculine energy. That's leadership. That's a safe space for her to relax in. And now that brings us to our final tip. And I know that this is the biggest one, right? If you can master this one, right, and really understand how big of a deal this is to the feminine, you will win. All right. So the tip goes right there along with safety. So tip number 5, communicate truth communicate with truth, not with tactics. Wounded men play games, with their words. They hide what they want because they're afraid if they, are truthful, it'll scare her off. They use manipulation tactics because they don't trust that honesty is enough. But the healed masculine communicates with truth. He says what he means and he means what he says. He doesn't say, I'm fine when he's not. He doesn't say, I'm cool with casual when he actually wants commitment. He doesn't sugarcoat his standards. Here's the key, right? Truth is not delivered with aggression or arrogance, it's delivered with clarity. A man who can communicate his truth calmly shows that he trusts himself, right? And women feel that. Honesty is attractive to the feminine because it signals stability. When she doesn't have to decode your words or guess your intentions, she feels safe. And when she feels safe, she can relax into her feminine. You see how all this works? Truth creates trust. Trust creates connection. And connection is what every man is searching for. It's what you're searching for. So, brother, stop memorizing tactics. Stop trying to, say the right thing to get a reaction. Speak your truth. Own your standards and let the chips fall where they may. Because the right woman won't run from your truth. She'll respect you more for it. And you're starting the relationship from an open, grounded truth. This will save both of you misery and regret later on, right? Speak your truth to her and let her decide if that's what she's really wanting. If she leaves, let her. Don't see this as rejection. See it as a redirection to who you're meant to be with. Every no is just moving you closer to a yes. So don't be afraid to speak up and express your values and what you're actually wanting. Like I've been taught my entire life, honesty has to be the policy. So, your 5 dating tips from the healed masculine are lead with presence, not performance. Hold your boundaries with clarity. Choose, don't chase. Regulate, don't react. And the fifth one, communicate with truth, not tactics. This is the difference between dating from wounds and dating from identity. One creates chaos, neediness and pain. The other creates respect, attraction, and trust. When you date from your wounds, you show up as a man, you know, looking to be saved, right? You're looking for a woman to patch over, the holes in your self-worth. You chase her attention, you bend your boundaries, you perform instead of being present. And all it ever brings you is exhaustion and disappointment. Tell me I'm wrong. But when you date from identity, you show up as a man who already knows who he is. You don't need saving. You don't need constant validation. You're not trying to convince someone to, see your value. You embody it. That's what creates attraction that, actually lasts. So let me ask you, brother, which man do you want to be when you show up on a date? The one grasping for love, bleeding from your old wounds, trying to hold on to anyone who will stay? Or the one leading from strength, grounded in his presence, choosing with clarity? Because the woman you're meant to attract isn't waiting for you to figure out the perfect pickup line. She's not waiting for you to memorize tactics. She's waiting for you to become the man who knows who he is. And that right there, that's the work. When you do that work, you stop chasing women who drain you and you start attracting women who align with you. You stop living in cycles of drama and start creating stability. You stop doubting yourself and start leading with strength. So the question isn't whether love is possible for you, it's whether you're willing to step into the identity of the man who can hold it. If this landed with you, give me a thumbs up and leave a comment. Share it with a fellow brother that might need to hear it. Don't forget, subscribe and hit the bell icon so you're notified whenever I release a new video. I also have free resources below that will help you start rebuilding from the inside out. These are tools that work, built for men like you. And if you're interested in making a real lasting change for yourself, I work with men just like you in a private one-on-one container. The application to work with me is in the description, and just know I don't work with everyone. I only work with men who are bold, willing, and seeking. And if you're still here watching this, that's you. So hit subscribe for yourself, grab the tools, and reach out. Give me a follow too on social media. Links are in the description. Remember, you're not broken, you're becoming. I'll see you on the next video. Stay strong, brother.